Greetings, beautiful viewers. This is Smitten. Welcome to How to Fail at Smite, my original Smite series where I pick up a new god for the first time and poke fun at how I play so that both of us can learn from my mistakes. Episode 12, Bakasura. We're going to try out yet another new format for this video. Instead of briefly going over the abilities in the beginning, we will let you dip right into the fail action and leave the skills and item builds for the end of the video. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Now, onward Smitten to glory! For this match, I entered a solo conquest queue, and I am joined by Vulcan for my lane partner, and we are up against the Kali and a Hades. Things have been long and arduous to this point, and for some reason, we opted to kill a gold camp rather than get blue buff. I've already taken quite a bit of damage from Kali and Hades, and stubbornly refused to use the motivation I bought earlier. Why? I don't know, it just doesn't feel right motivating people to do anything. The big reason I've been taking so much damage is because I've been trying to nom down archers to store them up in my minion pouch for my ultimate when the time comes. What I didn't realize is the only time it's okay to really poach forward to get those archers is when we have the advantage and are zoning them away from the minion line, as Bakasura is a squishly little demon. Kali seems to have disappeared, and I have reached level 5 and briefly considered jungling before returning to the minion wave, only to be chased off by Hades with a fifth of my health remaining. As I reach the tower and turn to face my adversary in relative security, I notice he's been pushed away by Vulcan and return to the fray once more to eat a single minion and bugger off again. I'm starting to get really suspicious of Kali's whereabouts and a little panicky. Not seeing her on the minimap and with Katixia wanting a game, I decide the best course of action is to get to the fountain! I'll be back to hear the lamentations of their women. Chapter 1, I got that tunnel vision. Advancing forward in the game, I've successfully been roaming through the jungle, picking up buffs and XP, leaving my lane mate Vulcan behind to handle the lane himself. It's actually quite important to have a lane partner that can handle the lane alone for a decent amount of time, and beneficial to your team as you now have middle and your lane able to pick up solo farm as long as your lane mate can survive. If you do your jungling properly, you'll be way ahead of them and your team will pick up an impressive lead very quickly. Speaking of jungling correctly, pull the mobs in these enclosed areas out to make room for a quick escape if necessary. Neith and Sobek round the corner to try to pick up a gank on me, but I vomit my minions all over them and motivate them for a short damage boost. Unfortunately, I didn't bother hitting my butcher's blades, nor did I bother jumping after Neith, so this is definitely a lesson in what not to do. Neith blinks after me, but is unable to make anything happen with it, and finally I decide to use my butcher's blades to go after the less squishy and less isolated Sobek. I attack the air to make sure that he'll be able to make a clean getaway and finally catch up to him just in time for my butcher's blade to end as he tosses me. As Neith joins him, I don't decide to jump to safety. Instead, I find that I'm more effective waiting for a respawn. Chapter 2, Too Close for Comfort. As soon as I'm up, it's off to the races again. I know I have to make up for that death, so I hunt the map for buffs. I run up middle lane after discovering our red buff was down. I'm feeling up for a risky situation, and after checking the surroundings, I dive in. I take my sweet time on the two minor mobs with my butcher's blades and start hacking away at the buff giver. Alquang is utilizing the time that Poseidon is away from mid to take a few free shots at his tower. As soon as I have him low enough, I eat him down to move to assist Alquang in middle where he's been ambushed from behind by Poseidon. As Poseidon dodges the Noodle's ult, he moves into my range and I tap my butcher's blades and start hacking away. I have him down incredibly low. If I could just press 4, my ulti could take him down, but instead I leap into his tower and Neith's ult locks me in. Alquang takes advantage of the situation, gets the kill on Poseidon as I use my Aegis to take some of the tower damage. The situation looks dire as I escape from the tower with only 42 health points left. I hold my breath as I frantically run down the lane, hoping that I can escape before the enemy decides to rotate. Whew! Freedom! Chapter 3, Failed Gank. After that successful escape, I emerge into middle lane to see a low health Sobek retreating. I entertain the thought of going after him, but get scared off by Poseidon. The fishman eats a Neith ult that was surely aimed for the Sobek. I turn around to see my team and minions closing in on the middle tower and indecisively swivel around, trying to figure out what I want to do. The Noodle's ultimate gives me the courage I need to dip off into the right jungle to try to cut off the injured Sobek's retreat. Oh yeah, it's time for that payback, baby! As soon as I round the corner, I focus in on my target, and I leap in and start puking out my ultimate on Sobek. Just when I think I have him, he tosses me back and I get stunned by the Kraken. YOLO! Chapter 4, Overconfidence Part 2. After being badly injured from an attempt to save our left tower, I see the enemy closing in on mid and I run into the lane to try to intimidate them. But an underfed, underfarmed, quarter health Baka is no threatening presence and I lead our newly spawned Loki into the jungle. As indecisive as always, I move back into the lane when I see Sobek in tower range. Sobek is positioned quite aggressively and paces left and right. I know he's trying to line up a shot on me, so I move back behind my minion. I turn to see him coming for me with his ultimate. I back up to the Phoenix as he takes the damage from my minion pack and the Phoenix. He's out of position and I engage him, but he tail whips me away with only 53 health points. Once Vulcan joins me, I decide it's now or never, so I rush back into the fight and puke out my ultimate and start blasting away at him. This would have landed me a kill, but I didn't realize until after I died that he had bought Hide of the Nemean Lion. Chapter 5, To Slay and Be Slain. Once I'm up again, I run to middle to see my team engaged in a team fight. I launch my minions and motivate them, only to be sucked in by Hades' ultimate and silenced as soon as he finishes. His whole team is out of position, so they split up and retreat through the jungle. Hades peels off into the left jungle and Neith and I run after him. There is no way I'm going to let him get off this easy this time. I leap after him, but I'm still pretty far behind. But he's so close I can taste it. Neith's ult stops him in his tracks, and I hit Butcher's Blades and take him out with one swing. I turn to see a weak Sobek heading out in the middle lane, and I stalk after him. I take a second to let Neith know that she rocks before I see Sobek stop and dance back and forth. I know the toss is coming, and I juke just in time. Feeling pretty suave with my jukes, I leap into his tower in the attempt to pick him up, but get chased out by the large amount of damage I'm taking. I head out into the jungle and turn to eat a minion before starting my retreat. I debate ducking into middle lane when I'm greeted by Kali's Bloodlash. With my jump on cooldown, I turn towards Fire Giant and directly into the hands of Poseidon. I use my leap needlessly as I am still in range of my hunter. Fishman pushes me back with his wave and picks up the kill with his ultimate. Chapter 6, Ultimate Timing. After the last team fight, our Loki rage quit, and it was left to the 4 of us to finish out the game. I'm the only one alive and have been given the task of defending our Phoenixes against a fed enemy team with the Fire Giant buff. With the squishy Neith all by herself, I leap forward and empty my pouch full of minions, motivate them, and start whacking away at her. What I failed to do here was wait for Neith to use her leap before I ultied. I'm stunned by Neith's ultimate, and my team loses all hope of being able to make a comeback and throws up the surrender. As I pass by my dying left Phoenix, I gain my level and swing back into the fountain. Vulcan pleads with my team that we press F6, but I need some sort of resolution to this match. I turn to see the demise of our right Phoenix and the motivated minions moving in. Neith seems a little disgruntled that I haven't forfeited the game yet, and I ignore her whispers from the grave and take out the minions that are attacking our Minotaur. I pace about my base as I await the impending doom of our Minotaur. I say my sweet goodbyes to him and move up to make our last defense. We shall stand together till death, Minotaur. Our enemies reap the full benefit of raffle stomping us the whole game and take out our middle Phoenix. Neith continues to nag at me about F6ing, but I feel like the enemy team have done well coordinating this game and they deserve to see the fight through to the end. I debate engaging, but leap away to my fountain and watch in desperation as my Minotaur goes down. After 26 minutes of game time, my team and I had only managed to get 7 kills. However, a good game to my allies and a good game and well played to my opponents. Their coordination and ability to rotate to other lanes served them well. They deserved a full victory for their efforts. Bakasura is a physical melee assassin, one of my worst classes. I played a few games with him after this one and found out just how much fun he could be if he gets fed early on. In that game, I managed to score 7 kills. So basically, you have black and white options when you play Baka. You either get fed and have a great time, or you get rolled and have a not so great time. Since this is another one of Soapbox's favorite gods, maybe I'll have him show me how to Baka correctly. Now it's time for the goodies! On Baka's abilities, I cannot overlook his passive. The recent buff to his passive was huge when you consider how Bakasura works. His passive Insatiable Hunger was changed to after getting 3 last hits or 1 buff camp, it gives you a 30% movement and attack speed buff that lasts for 10 seconds. If you need to get through a jungle, get the last hit on 3 minions or take that buff camp and you'll enter the other lane in time to kill a minion to reset the buff and chase down the ganks. In all honesty, the change to this passive means that Fatalis isn't as amazing on Baka as it used to be. His number 1 ability, Takedown, is your standard leap, but one that comes with a big bonus when used to initiate. If you land in range of an opponent to do your damage, it applies a debuff that reduces the damage they deal by 20% for 3 seconds. Remember though, this is also your escape, so using it to initiate in the early game isn't recommended unless you're sure that you can secure the kill and escape safely. Put a point into the second and max it last, unless you're really familiar with this god and feel confident in placing a point into it at level 3 instead. His second ability is Eat Minion. You consume a minion or buff camp mob. You can't consume Fire Giant or Gold Fury, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending upon your perspective, and gain health back for doing so. You also store up to 6 minions for later use with your ultimate. If you're trying to eat a buff carrying mob, you have to get them to 33% health before you can attempt it. The heal scales by 60% of your physical power and increases your protections up to 30 for 5 seconds. Pretty standard, but if engaging in a fight in the early game, try to eat one of their archers when moving in to engage, so you'll have their protections up and one less roam in range to deal with when you start stomping on them. Throw a point into this at level 1 and max it second. The number 3 ability is Butcher's Blades, Baka's bread and butter. It provides a passive physical power buff to Bakasura from 10 to 30. When activated, it does 10 to 70 true damage for 6 seconds, which means it's dealing that amount regardless of protections of your opponent. This ability is what makes attack speed so important on Baka. The faster he attacks, the more shots he gets off while Butcher's Blades is active, and the faster he can chew through even a tank due to ignoring protections. Throw a point into this at either level 3 if you need a quick escape and level Takedown first, or at level 2 if you're really comfortable with Baka and max this ability first. His ultimate is Regurgitate. He projectile vomits out all the minions he stored in his minion sack and shows his real head and starts chomping in a big cone that extends the range of his basic attacks. It doesn't increase the damage he does, but the vomit puddle does slow any enemies inside it by 10 to 30% at max. Due to the fact that nothing but the slow scales with his ultimate, you can prioritize other abilities first, unless you really feel the slow is important. Either grab this at level 5 and then ignore it until all the other abilities are finished, or pick it up when available. There's no right way to do it, and it all depends upon your playstyle. As far as items are concerned, Bakasura's Eat Minion ability already gives a short protection buff, so starting off with an item like Mark of the Vanguard isn't recommended. Bakasura relies heavily on mobility rather than defenses to get kills and stay alive, so build accordingly. Start off with Tier 1 Warriors Tabby and pick up your active items. Good choices for these are Aegis, Purification Beads, Sprint, or Motivate because it works on the minions you vomit out with your ultimate. Then grab your potions and head off to the buff camp of your choice. Once Warriors Tabby is completed, there are two ways you can go. Either go for Devourer's Gloves for the lifesteal and physical power, or Executioner for the penetration and attack speed. Early game, it's easy to rely on Baka's Uber passive for attack speed, so I prefer Devourer's Gloves first. They'll also make you more effective at jungling, which is something Bakasura shines at. Once these three items are complete, your core build is done. If you're really farmed and way ahead, you can consider grabbing Deathbringer as the next item. But for Bakasura, I think that Rage is a better item all around. It gives more base critical strike chance and supplies him with the extra attack speed he needs to maximize the efficiency of Butcher's Blades, so pick up Rage before Deathbringer in most situations. Now you have some choices. Jotun's Wrath is a good item on Baka for the penetration and more importantly cooldown reduction, allowing him to keep Butcher's Blades up longer. Golden Bow isn't a bad choice as you can hammer multiple opponents down quickly even without your ultimate. Additional lifesteal is a really good way to make up for what you lack in defense. If they've got a heal-heavy team, grab Brawler's Speed Stick. If you want more survivability, pick up Soul Eater. Soul Eater will also get you closer to the attack speed cap with a full passive. Fatalis was a really good item on Bakasura, and it will still get you to the attack speed cap with the added benefit of allowing you to keep up with fleeing enemies while attacking due to the movement speed being at 22% when at max stacks, which happens quickly as it is with Bakasura. But you take a damage hit if you go this route, not as big as other gods due to the 70 true damage from Butcher's Blades, but you might want to consider playing around with other items. If you go for Fatalis, get it early, as it is cheap and more effective the earlier you get it. Getting this before Executioner isn't a bad idea as your Butcher's Blades are insanely effective early in the game, so you don't need penetration like other physical melees do. If you really need to go defense with Bakasura, grab Bulwark of Hope for magical protection. For physical protection, Void Blade is one of the best ways to go for Baka, as it gives 60 physical protection and still increases your penetration and attack power so you don't lose out on damage. But if you need more protection than that, pick up Hydonemian Line or Midgardian Mail, since I feel Bakasura relies much more on mobility to survive than defense. If you're forced to go this route, Midgardian Mail will provide the slow you need to let your movement speed and leap do the rest of the work for you. And so concludes the guide on Bakasura. If we tickled your fancy, make sure to rate and subscribe for upcoming videos. You can also come hang out with us on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to follow us on Twitch to see us streaming live. Links in the description. Feel free to leave your suggestions on how to play this god as well as any feedback you have for us in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, I'm Smitten, and I'll see you next time.
Good game. Bye.